Hello and welcome to episode 104 of the First and Goal podcast. I am Ben Roberts, joined by Sim Longa and our friend Sterling Carter. Gentlemen, it's been a few weeks since we have last chopped it up. And in that time, we've got quite a lot of basketball news to break down. Also, a little bit of football news, and we'll look ahead to big week for Purdue baseball as well. But first and foremost, gentlemen, how are we doing tonight?
Doing well, man. Excited.
So I can't complain. Can't complain. I'm finally over basketball being over.
Um, so let's jump right into some hoops, man. The combine just wrapped up. It's week long combine in Chicago, and for both Trey and Braden, it was, I would say, went about as well as you could have asked for it. With Trey starting off at the G League combine and playing really, really well, he gets the invite to uh, the NBA combine, and then you have Braden, who kind of typical Braden fashion. He starts off with the measurements, and everybody's kind of questioning, kind of his height and stuff like that. And then, he gets up and really balls out, and has a really good couple of days. According to a lot of the reports, probably one of the guys that rose the most kind of on like draft boards and things like that. Um, but I don't think any of us are kind of shocked, how well and how impressive both Braden and Trey were this past week.
Yeah, I certainly wasn't. I think that, like you mentioned, like Trey getting the nod from the G League camp to I think the G League combine to the NBA combine. That that kind of shows in itself that like clearly what he was able to do. Um, it translates. I think what's probably helped him too is the fact that he shot it pretty well from the outside, and so I think people like teams seeing that and understanding like, hey, so like his not only is his post game good, obviously with the footwork and I think this past season he showed a real ability to rebound the basketball. But if he is able to step out and be able to hit a three, be able to shoot, I would say anywhere between 30-35% from three, that helps the stock in terms of like okay the upside and how you can potentially use a guy like Trey or Braden. I'm not surprised that his stock rose after being at the combine because yeah, his measurables weren't going to necessarily dazzle you, but as we've seen, specifically the last couple of years, but when he steps on the floor, obviously he has an ability to control the game, to be able to get other guys involved, be able to score for himself. Probably has the best ball fake in America. So it doesn't it's not entirely it's not surprising. I'm going to say entirely. It's not surprising for me that he that his stock rose. And I just love the fact that both of those guys have been having that type of good fortune over the last couple of weeks because they definitely deserve it. And yeah, and I think they're just also showing that they weren't just a byproduct of Edie being around.
Yeah, I think I think for Braden, he has a really good chance of going pretty high in the second. I just compare him a lot to Peyton Pritchard, more of a better playmaker though, passer. I just think that people are they're always gonna talk about your height. They're always gonna talk about you being smaller. Can you guard? Can you do this? Can you do that? But it's really the motor that he has, the IQ that he has. Like that's what you want on your team. And I know a lot of NBA guys and a lot of guys like playing with dudes that think like Braden thinks, plays like Braden plays. He's gonna dominate the ball in a positive way. He's gonna get the guys that need the ball. And as far as for Trey, I see him as being like uh, uh I think he'll get drafted in the second round as well. More so just based off his motor and his ability to be a tweener. He can play between the 3, 4, and 5 slot. If a team wants to go small ball, they'll put him in there at the 4 or 5. He can shoot it anywhere in mid range wise. He can bang with the best of him on the inside. So I don't see him not. And then his career over the last 4 years speaks volumes. So I mean, the team would be crazy not to draft him or at least sign him.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
kind of a no brainer. But Braden for sure, I think he's you know setting the NCAA record with assists. Like that's crazy in itself. Um, and just being a winner. Like he's won all 4 years. So it's Trey. Like they've won. So and that's what a lot of coaches look for too. Not necessarily your measurables. I mean, do they matter? No. But like I said, look at Braden Pritchard. No one ever expected that coming from him, but he's done it. So what are you gonna say? Like small guys don't exist in the NBA? Yeah, right.
Right. Also thought, looking at what's his name, Ryan Nemhard,
Yeah,
Nemhard's younger brother.
I like
So
them
he
too.
was, yeah, he was balling out in summer league, and it was kind of like, oh, okay. Then even during the season, he was
Yeah.
getting busy, and he's about the same size as Braden. So it's like, man, if like there's a spot for a guy in the league who plays with that motor in terms of, like you said, like again, the measurables might not be there, but in terms of a guy who's a winner, a guy who makes those on the floor better around, like when he's there, setting guys up for shots. I mean, like you said, guys will like playing with a guy like that who's looking for you, and then also can create his own shot. I mean, those are all things that can translate to the next level. And then you look at a guy like Ryan Nemhard, who just is just finished his rookie year, and you
Hmm.
see, okay, yeah, it could be the exact same thing. And Ryan Nemhard didn't get the same level of accolades that Braden had. So yeah, I definitely see. I can see Braden getting drafted in that second round, and like you said with Trey, if he doesn't get drafted, I imagine there'll be some teams that call him right after the draft
For sure.
gets over, and trying to invite him to be on the summer league team.
I think also this combine not only solidified Braden as a draftee or someone that should be drafted, him and Trey, but it also opened eyes to other guys from other schools that were not as good as people thought they were. Koa Pete is one. I think Trey Compinerin is a way better prospect than him. I think he's a better player all year round than him. I mean, granted the kid is a freshman, but still, like they hyped him way too much. You got the kid from Vanderbilt who didn't perform very well either. There's a couple guys that everybody was high on early, but didn't perform very well. So they're telling those kids to go back to school. Um, it's going to be interesting though to see who actually does get drafted um, and makes the rosters for some of these NBA teams. But obviously, the top of the draft is pretty heavy. You know, you got the AJ DeBonsa, Darren Peterson. But I think the I'm always excited to see the second round guys because those are guys that last longer. Those are guys that help your team right away. Those are guys that have no pressure, so they get to come in and hoop, just hoop. You know.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. No, and I think if you look at some of the mock drafts and things, they have Braden's early second round. I've seen it go to the Celtics at like 40, I think. So somewhere right around there, probably. Um, and you guys know this, like we've talked about it, like so much of the draft too is just kind of getting the right team, the right fit, and all of that. But Braden really, kind of took his game to a whole nother level. I mean, you look at like the stat line from and it's just such a Braden stat line with 9 points, 7 assists, 3 rebounds, and 3 steals. That's what he was doing all year long, just a stat stuffer. But yeah, I'm with you guys. Like whoever gets him, I think is really like obviously Brady's not going to win like rookie of the year or anything like that, but he's going to be a solid backup guard. That's just going to be in the league for like a long time, kind of like an Eton Moore type, where like you're just going to see him and like, dang, that dude's still in the league. Um, but it was just really good to him. I think you brought up a good point too about Trey, and him hitting those threes. I think that was big for him, to really show that he can knock that down because that's about the only knock you can put on him right now.
Right.
Is and it's not really a knock; it's just you haven't seen it. But really happy and excited for him, because that was really big for him to get that invite to the NBA combine. And I'm with you guys. Like he's gonna land somewhere. He might kind of pop around, from the G League to the NBA, kind of be one of those guys that gets a few deals throughout the year. But he's another one that seems like once he finds his spot, he could really stick around for like a long time.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. I think I think what a lot of people don't understand is like when you leave college and you go be a pro, like the floor is way wider. It's not like built for one person. Like when you're a pro, everybody is the best on the team. Like everybody's been the best at some point in their career. So you get to play with some better players. You get to play in a better system. Um, like I said, the floor is more spaced out, so you have the ability to do more. Like he's gonna get to showcase more of what he can do versus, having to play the 4 or the 5 for Purdue and kind of be like solidified in those areas. You never know. They might play him at the 3, they might play him at the 4, but have him on the wing. Like there's so much more that happens in the pro level, like not just saying the NBA but overseas, all that. Like it's so different. Like when went from playing in college to playing overseas, like it was so different and I felt so much like freer because I wasn't just playing within a system that was built for certain people, you know what I mean? Um, and so that made me feel like, wow, this is, maybe this was what I needed to just be more free, to expand my game, to showcase more of my game. Like when you playing in a system in college, you don't want to step outside the system or your ass is going to be on the bench. You know what I mean? Like you train in the off season to get better at certain areas, and then slowly you can start incorporating those things. Like if you want to be more of a scorer in year 2 than you were in year 1, like that's possible, but 9 times out of 10, you're still playing within that system. But when you're a pro, it's kind of like just let your skills come out and be who you are. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, I feel like eventually that's what he's gonna do, and that's what's gonna help him, and he's gonna be able to showcase more of what he can do.
Yeah, I
Excited.
agree. And
It'll be cool watching them in summer league too.
yeah,
Looking forward to it.
All right.
we'll see. It's crazy, we're kind of talking about combine and draft and stuff. The draft's almost a month away. So we'll see what happens there. Um, Guys, let's switch gears a little bit and go from some former Boilermakers and talk about some future Boilermakers. As you know, we're kind of in that time um, of the year now where the final rankings for a lot of publications are out. You have Rivals did their top 150. ESPN did one as well, and these guys, the Boilermakers are bringing in, man. It's one of the best, if not Coach Painter's best class he's bringing in. Um, with with Rivals, 3 of the 4 guys are all top 150, led by Luke Ertl, and then you got Jacob Weber, and the big man, Sananholm, are all top 150. Rivers Knight just on the outside. He was in Rivals top 200. He was actually listed as a 200 overall. But and then you look at ESPN's. It's pretty similar. They have Luke, Jacob, and on all top 150 as well. Um, Rivals has them as the 17th class nationally, 5th overall in Big Ten. Um, that seems like, especially, I think it's important to talk about now because we're in this age where, like, with the transfer portal just wrapping up, everybody's hyping up all these teams with the transfer portal guys. And a lot of people are kind of forgetting about these high school recruits too. And so, the class that Painter is bringing in here just, he just continues to show what he can do out there, Sterling. I know you can't wait to get out there and coach these guys up, but I think the really neat thing about this class is how well-rounded it is. Like you got Luke, who we've talked about, Mr. Indiana, the best player in the state. Um, as a guard, you got a couple of shooters, you got a big. Um, it's just a really deep, talented class with a lot of dudes who can just ball, man.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, it's just like you said. I think it's a well-rounded class, and um, I'm a firm believer. I'm not trying to just say this because I know it's like kind of what Paint still does, but like I'm a firm believer that like you still have to be heavily recruiting in the high school ranks, man. Like it's like the transfer portal. It's it has its purpose. It obviously it's a I think a lot of programs kind of look to that to kind of be able to rebuild their program or to maintain a certain level of competitiveness. But I feel like at the end of the day, man, like if you still have to be out here recruiting the high school kids because that's how I feel like you can build more sustainability within your program. If you're getting guys from high school and you're able to to develop them and they're coming in, they're putting in the work and I feel like it kind of adds to the depth of your team because you can only go out and get so many guys in the portal who can come in and be impactful. And I feel like if you use the portal more as a as a complement to what you're doing in high school recruiting, I feel like that's when you can really get some good return out of it. Because I feel like if you're a program where you just like you just 5 or 7 guys just swap in and out every year. It's like that can be kind of boom or bust. I feel like that was kind of like what Cal was running into with when he was at Kentucky. It's like you get all these one and done guys for high school. It's like, all right, yeah, it's cool when it all clicks, but when it doesn't, now all of a sudden, you're underachieving and people, then your fan base starts to get upset and guys on the team, I'm sure probably get upset and it's not fun like that way. So yeah, I'm really excited for these guys to get on campus. I'm excited to be getting some insider information from Sterling. But yeah, I don't think this is going to be some stuff where Purdue like there's some crazy slippage, from last year to next. I'm excited to see what these guys can bring, and I think they all have the ability to affect the game on both sides of the floor.
Yeah, I think when you look at it, Purdue's never been the university that goes out and just searches and prides herself on getting all 5 stars or the top rated guys. They go get the guys that make sense, guys that play the way they play the way Coach Painter wants them to play, even before they get on campus. Um, Looking at the way Luke Ertl plays, he's a spitting image to me of Braden Smith. Um, just a more defined scorer. It feels like and can shoot it a little better from what I've seen. I'm not 100% that's the case, but just from what I've seen of the kid, I think he's gonna have a hell of a career, just like Braden. I don't know if he has the same ability to make plays, passing the ball as well, but I know he can score with the best of them. I know he's fearless. Um, I know the kid Jacob Weber shoots the lights and strings off the ball, which is always a great asset to have.
You like me?
Um, you know what I mean? Like you always want to have a guy that you can, find on the wing, find in the corner to knock down a shot. Um, but then you have there's another kid that we signed. I think it's Jamin Soundrip, but I don't think he's coming for like another year or two. He's gonna do his Mormon mission, I think.
Yeah,
Um, but I think the whole class is great. I think they're the right guys. They're the guys that fit the culture and what Coach Painter wants to do. So I don't really too much worry about where they're rated or what, you know what I mean? Like it to me that never mattered. Like I never was a ranked guy. I never cared about rankings. I felt like I was better than most guys that were ranked. I outperformed those type of guys all the time. So it never mattered to me. Like even on the other side of things now as a coach, where you're ranked at doesn't matter because some of the guys that are making these rankings never played. Some of these guys that are making these rankings get, coerced into making certain guys certain stars. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not to say that everybody's that way and everybody, you know, reports that way, but you know, some that has happened. I've seen it myself. So, um, I just think that it's just got to be the film that should tell us what is what. Um, but I've been watching a lot of these guys, and I'm pretty impressed to be honest. Um, Especially with Luke Ertl. Like I'm really a fan. Obviously, I'll get to coach him this upcoming year. I get to see him a lot this summer. You know, we're going to Canada, so it'll be exciting to see how he plays and adjusts to the college game and physicality and stuff like that. But yeah, man, I think our recruiting class is just right for us. That's the way I look at it.
So
Yeah,
matters
I would
too.
agree. I'm glad you brought up Jacob Weber too, because I feel like he's kind of under the radar. You know, Luke gets a lot of the headlines and deservedly so, but like you said, man, you can flat out shoot it. You know, if you watch some of his highlight videos, you would think it was kind of me out there the way he was just knocking down shots.
Yeah,
Um,
there you go.
and then let's also not forget too that Caden Pierce will be there as well, the
Yeah,
transfer. So, you know, they did add there to kind of put this class, you know, perfectly together. You know, he's more of kind of like the stretch four. But Sterling, I think you brought up a really good point of like it just seems like all these dudes just fit well with what Purdue wants to do. Like whoever, you know, he kind of has the Ryan Klein, Dakota Mathias look to him. You bring in another big for Brandon to develop. Like it just, you know, it's a very Purdue class.
exactly.
Yeah,
But
very cool.
according to Coach Painter, I was listening to one of his. He was on a podcast a couple of weeks ago. He said we're supposed to be getting one more guy to add to the roster. So I'm excited to see who that next guy is going to be. I don't officially start until June 1st, so I'm out of the loop on a lot of things. So uh, I'm just excited, man. You know, I'm excited to hear what you know. I'm kind of like you guys. What's next? You know.
Shit, I'll text you June 1st. Hey, man, what's the word?
I'm I'm sure to be out before then.
We'll
I'm
let you
sure.
official now, man. Try to get these answers.
I'm sure it'll be out before then.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about one other recruit as well as news broke Friday and another monster recruit for Coach Painter. You know, this is just another guy that kind of checks all the boxes, like best player in Indiana, check, high school guy, you know, that we can develop, check, another big, like I said, for Coach Brandon to develop, check. You know, Isaiah Hill, the five-star recruit out of Pike, announced his commitment. He will be the highest recruited player that Coach Painter has ever gotten. He comes in as the number one player in Indiana, the number two center, and the number 13 overall player. And guys, I know we talked a little bit about him before we started, and you know, I'm not sure there's a player kind of that's been that Purdue fans would be excited for probably since Biggie. You know, as far as kind of the excitement level for a guy coming into a program, you know, watching him, he can do a little bit of everything too. Like you know, he can ball handle well. Obviously, he can defend. He's a rim protector guy. And it really just seems like he's kind of scratching the surface of how good he can be. And you know, just a guy when you see it, just man, he oozes potential. Um, and you know, just really excited not only because you know he's an Indiana kid, number one recruit again in the state, which is always big for you know for us to get. But then just for a chance to see him get coached up, man, the sky's the limit for him.
I actually got to watch him play this weekend in the EYBL second session in Memphis, against AB Elite, one of the top point guard in the country plays on that team. But he showed me a lot in that game. Obviously, physicality has to come. Is going to come with age and time, and repetition. But just his skill level to be around the rim, rim protecting, his athleticism is there. Just with time and maturity, all that is going to rise even more. So that's kind of scary, to be honest. Just watching him though, like you can tell, um, guys nudge him, guys pick at him, and it frustrates him a little bit. So, like I said, that's all gonna get better with time and maturity. But I think that kid is he's got it. He's got the it factor. He's got the motor. He's not one of those guys that are 5 star that doesn't have a motor, that pouts when he doesn't get his way. He seems like he works really hard. He's also playing for an NBA player, ex NBA player, as his high school coach, and Jeff Teague. So I think that has a lot to do with it as well. Yeah, man, I'm excited to get to be around the kid and help coach and develop and uh, you know get Purdue back to where we need to be.
Yeah, no, I won't add too much more. At kind of same page as you guys in terms of like you see what his potential and what he's been able to do. And it's just obviously he has one more year left in high school. But yeah, when you just think of his potential of what he can get to, and the fact too that he's the highest rated recruit that Purdue's ever had. Yeah, speaks volumes to Painter, the Purdue brand. And the fact that he chose us over some other good programs in IU, Louisville, Kentucky, Notre Dame as well. Yeah, I just excited for him to grow, to continue to get better, and then yeah, what happens once he steps foot on campus? So I think that there could be some problems by way of Isaiah Hill the next. I'm not going to put how many years, but the next I don't know undisclosed amount of time when he's in West Lafayette.
Hey, I think it go. I don't know if you guys heard what he said, why he committed to Purdue, but it just again, I talk about this almost every time we have a pod, but Coach Painter is one of the most realest people you'll ever meet, man. And the way he's authentic about his approach to kids, young men, whatever you want to call them. Kids said that they've been on me since I was in the 8th grade, and the everything stayed the same. It was consistent. You have Louisville, you have Kentucky, you have some big time programs with big time money that's probably being thrown at you, and you go to Purdue, which I'm sure is, I don't want to speak on what they're offering because I don't know, but you go based off of the track record of a coach and his consistency in recruiting you. Like to me, that means a lot. It's crazy is when I was coaching in Virginia. I think we were in Virginia last year for at the on the Puma circuit last year, and I ran into PJ, and we talked for a little bit, and he was like, "Yeah, man, we've been recruiting this kid on Indy Elite. Check him out when you get a chance." I'm like, "Okay," I'm thinking it's a guard. He says Isaiah Hill, and I look him up, and I'm like, "No way, this kid is only a sophomore. There's no way." And then seeing him play now as a junior going into his senior year, it's like wow, like I can see the progress from when I seen him play last year, and they won the EYBL 16U last year. So like just seeing the progress is you got to have excitement around that, because you seeing him from last year to this year. I can only imagine what it's going to be like next year. Like he's gonna be a fan favorite. They might have to change that. They might have to change that 3 sign in the student section for a block sign, because that kid plays around the room for sure. He's like a
Well,
he's
and it's funny you bring that up because there's going to be the potential for a lot of blocks. Like if you look at that roster that year, there's going to probably be 3 7 footers.
That's crazy.
Between Daniel, the freshman incoming this year, and him. So yeah, there's gonna be blocks handed out left and right. It's gonna be really interesting to see kind of obviously that's way down the road, but just looking at that, like how that is gonna play out. You think my initial thought was kind of Michigan this year and how much hype they had with Mara and Yaxel and Morris Johnson, and like obviously not comparing the three guys that we'll have to those guys, but that's the kind of height problems that we could have. But to have three 7 footers and they're all like legit dudes too. It's not like you just got some dude, because he was tall. Like all these dudes can play.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's not
agree.
man. That's not even. Don't forget about a guy like Raleigh Burgess. So you
Yeah,
have a lot of size up front, man. A lot of size up
yeah,
front.
And guys that can move.
That's
That's the
yeah,
good part too. They all
right.
can move.
That,
They're
I
not
think
like
yeah.
that's what made I mean that's what made Michigan's like front line so devastating, honestly, is the fact that especially with Johnson and Yaxel, is that they could switch, like, and so they could get in a stance and like their ability to move. It wasn't like with other teams where if you have multiple bigs, odds are you can probably run some type of action to get the slower big and kind of be able to exploit that matchup. You didn't really have that luxury against a team like Michigan. So when you have size like that and size with that, it also comes with some agility. Defensively, it can pose so many problems. So yeah, it could be scary hours, but hopefully that's not a problem. That's gonna be a problem for other programs, and hopefully one that they can't figure out until the offseason when we have won the last game of the year.
We shall see. Um, Guys, let's switch gears just a little bit. I don't know if you guys know, but there is a football program too. And there was some news that dropped that just wanted to highlight. I think it's the first date and time that's been announced. But the Washington Huskies will come to Ross-Age Stadium October 16th, a Friday night under the lights. It'll be on Fox. It'll be actually the first time that Washington comes to West Lafayette for a conference game. Obviously, the Boilermakers went out to UW last year on the road, but first time hosting them for a Big Ten conference game. Um, Obviously, we'll have much more as we talk about the teams and kind of the schedule, but just kind of wanted to highlight that. I know, Sim, you're a big fan of the Friday night games under the lights. I know you probably already got this one's circled and be ready to go there.
Yeah, man. I know I say it all the time, but obviously I don't think there's anything like a night game at Ross A Friday night. Yeah, that'll be appointment TV for many. I'll be there probably more than likely.
I
Um,
might actually show up to the.
I'd love that for you. I really do.
It's the home. It's my hometown, so wouldn't mind watching them get a spanking.
Right, right. I imagine the student section will have some warm welcomes for the defensive coordinator of Washington. But all in all, I hope that they win. So yeah, but that's it's just I mean obviously like this the start of a new year always brings a new batch of hope. A new batch of Ben Roberts saying well they're due. So yeah, now that we're starting to get the times, we're starting to figure out the schedule. You can sort of mentally start to get into that place to prepare yourself for football and cross all your fingers and toes that things continue to move in the proper direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Football talk as we get closer, but just wanted to kind of highlight that there should be some more times announced, I think, within the next few weeks. So keep an eye out for that. Um, Gentlemen, before we head out of here this evening, be remiss if we didn't just touch on the Purdue baseball team as well, as they start their Big Ten tournament, a big week for them in Omaha. Well, actually, they'll be the first game of the Big Ten tournament on Tuesday. as they will take on the Michigan State Spartans. That'll be a 10 a.m. Start on Big Ten Network. They are the number 5 seed to take on number 12 Michigan State. So kind of an interesting game, interesting week. They wrapped up their home schedule with a big sweep against IU. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it was really neat. Coach Katie was out there and threw out the first pitch. And then they wrapped up the regular season this past weekend against Iowa. Struggled a little bit out there, but they'll have a potential chance for rematch this week in round 2, as they could potentially take on the Hawkeyes. But a big opportunity for the Boilermakers as they try to advance into the NCAA tournament, and just wanted to wish them luck. But another good year for Coach Guard and his squad. But it's always good when you can wrap up your home regular season, having a legend like Coach Katie out there and sweeping the IU team there.
Yeah, no, that was really cool. They had some crazy comebacks too to in that series. And like you said, it's always good when you beat IU. I don't really care what sport it is. It's all a win's a win. We'll take that every time. What I think is really, it's actually kind of unfortunate for the guys, is that going into that last weekend against Iowa, they actually had a shot at getting a top 4 seed in the Big Ten tournament, which would have given them a bye. But they wouldn't. I don't think they would have started playing until seems what the 22nd. So even if they had lost like I think 2 out of 3, even if they had won if they won like 2 out of 3, I think they would have been in good shape. Just kind of depending, because it was between them and USC. But fortunately, they weren't able to handle business that way. But nonetheless, like you said, they're the 5 seed, so there's a worse spot to be in. And as we saw with basketball, not getting a bye or a double bye in this in basketball's case, it doesn't mean you can't go and run off some wins and go ahead and hoist up a trophy. So good luck to the boys. Starting tomorrow, we start on Tuesday. 9 a.m. is crazy early start time, but that's just me. So
Yeah, that is wild.
So Sim, if I'm hearing you right, you're saying that Purdue is going to win the Big Ten tournament here.
I don't know if
Are you
those are
on
the
record
words.
there?
I don't know if those are the words I said. I do expect them. I mean, I actually do expect them though to. I do expect them to make some noise in this thing though. I really do. I do think I think there's a way for them too with because I believe they beat Michigan State, I believe, the last time they played them. And like you said, you get to spin the block, and you could possibly run into to Iowa again. So off that, you'd owe them a loss as well. So you get past there, and all of a sudden, you might find yourself tango with USC, who I think you also owe because they lost to them last time they played them. So I mean, it could be the revenge tour if they want it to be. But I do expect them to make some noise, but I'm not going to go as far as to be like, oh, they're going to win the whole thing. I don't know if I don't have that Ben Roberts level of opium yet. So
That's that's fair. They will have to go. If they were to win it all, they would probably have to knock off the number 1 team in the country and use UCLA, who was absolutely loaded. Probably have the number 1 pick in the draft. But either way, best of luck to the Boilermakers again. They'll get started Tuesday morning, the 19th, 10 a.m. On Big Ten Network, taking on the Michigan State Spartans. So good luck to them out in Omaha. Boys, that'll just about do it for this episode. Want to thank everybody again for their continued interactions. It's been really fun on social media. I know it's kind of a slow time, but a lot of exciting news here lately, and we'll have some more fun stuff for everybody throughout kind of the summer months. So thank you everybody for all your continued support, and most importantly, boiler up.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.